Hello everybody, it's Nancy News here, and today we've got an lot to break date today. And the first news we'll be talking about today is coming from Russia, where we've got news that Putin has just submitted for the ratification of the State Duma a treaty with Belarus on security guarantees within the framework of the Union State. So Vladimir Putin has just submitted a ratification treaty with the country of Belarus that includes Russian nuclear weapons may be used in response to the use of conventional weapons against the country of Belarus or Russia, and that threaten the sovereignty between the two countries. And the treaty also states that in order to prevent acts of aggression on the territory of Belarus, military facilities may be established, and Russian military formation and the basic Russian infantry divisions and missiles and tactical nukes may be deployed to Belarus. So big news. So this is going into Russian law right now, and I'll tell you if this gets approved or not, and most likely it will get approved. So big news. So a treaty between Russia and Belarus are in the making. We've also gotten some space news today that Russia has just launched the Soyuz 2.1V into space. The Russian aerospace forces successfully launched the Soyuz 2.1V light class carrier rocket into space in the interest of the Russian Defense Ministry, reported Russian officials. The Russian officials didn't specifically say what was in this Soyuz rocket, but it said that it was in the interest of the Russian Defense Ministry. So it could be a military satellite over Ukraine, helping Russian troops navigate through Ukraine. Who knows? But that's all the news I've gotten from the Soyuz rocket today. I'll do a bit more digging onto that a bit later. We've also got news today that Russia says preparations for Putin and Trump meeting is underway. So the head of Russia's State Duma Committee on International Relations said that the preparations for a meeting between Donald Trump and Putin are at an advanced stage. According to the head of Russia's State Duma Committee, their meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin could take place as early as this month in February or March, Bild reported. So, big news. Let's go into Ukraine today. We've got news that Ukraine and Russia have done a huge prisoner exchange program. So at least 150 people each have exchanged prisoners. So 150 Russian prisoners and 150 Ukrainian prisoners have been exchanged. So 150 people have returned to their homeland, and the UAE acted as the middleman of this exchange and put the Russians in negotiations with Ukraine. So thanks to the UAE, it served as a middleman and it achieved 150 prisoner exchange deal. So interesting news. And obviously, probably one of the biggest news today is that Ukraine has just received the French fighter jet of the Mirage 2000 fighters from France, and also a new batch of F-16 fighter jets from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The Defense Minister of Ukraine, Umarov, reported. So reports are stating that Ukraine has received up to 6 Mirage fighter jets from France, and if we can see these videos here, we can see the latest video that the Ukrainian government has released. So you can see Mirage 2000 fighter jet pilots who are actively flying this jet. So interesting news. So Ukraine has just received its first Mirage 2000 fighter jets from France, and also a latest batch of F-16s from the Kingdom of Netherlands. So very big news. We've also got some news today coming from the US President's special representative of the Trump administration, Keith Kellogg. So Keith Kellogg will visit Ukraine and more specifically the capital city of Ukraine, Kiev, on the February the 20th, reports are stating. We've also gotten some news today that Trump expects to hold a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky next week, which may take place in Washington, according to the White House. So Zelensky and Donald Trump are apparently in talks of a meeting that could happen next week. We've got news today that Zelensky has signed a law on banning the harvesting of organs from fallen soldiers. So This has just came into act. So Zelensky has banned the harvesting of organs from fallen soldiers. So interesting news. And furthermore, we've also gotten some news today that Zelensky has agreed to exchange rare earth Ukrainian metals for US aid. So if you want to watch this video here, it's about a minute long. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, explained a potential deal between the US and Ukraine on exchanging Ukrainian rare earth metals for US aid. So it's about a minute long. So if you wanna watch Zelensky explain this, it's a minute long. If you don't, just skip ahead 1 minute.
Це не про десятки мільярдів, це трильйони грошей. Ось бачите, чому вони постійно говорять про те, що вони хочуть забрати Запорізьку область повністю, Донецьку область. Вони захоплюють не просто там все це бла-бла-бла про русський язик, що вони захищають. Ні, вони захоплюють великі гроші. І ми розуміємо, куди вони йшли, як вони йшли з півночі і що вони хотіли. Ось вам енергетика, ось вам марганцеві руди, ось вам титан, ось вам залізо. Вони захопили 20% атомної генерації України. Чому ми говоримо з Сполученими Штатами Америки? Давайте заробляти гроші разом. Ми будемо щасливі заробляти з тими, хто це захищає. В Європі найбільша кількість урану в Україні. Якщо це в руках у Росії, Ірану і Північної Кореї, вони просто багатшими будуть.
We've also got some news today coming from the Baltic states that tomorrow Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia will permanently disconnect from Russia's energy system, says the EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas. So according to her, which is the former Prime Minister of Estonia and now is the new EU Foreign Policy Chief, she stated that Russia can no longer use energy as a tool of blackmail, she added. So tomorrow Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia will permanently disconnect from Russia's energy system. Furthermore, we've also got some news today coming from Poland that the Polish President Donald Tusk and European Commission Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen met in Poland, for talks. So today, the members of the European Commission, led by President von der Leyen, travelled to Gdansk in Poland to mark the Polish presidency of the Council of the EU in the first semester of 2025. The commissioners and the Polish ministers met in a plenary format and in a thematic groups to exchange on the priorities of the Polish presidency of the Council and how the Commission and the Council will work together in the coming months to deliver on a European Union that is more secure and more competitive. So obviously Poland is going to be taken over as the presidency of the EU. I believe right now the presidency of the EU is Hungary, but now it's being turned into Poland. And furthermore, we've got some news today coming from the Kingdom of Denmark, all coming from its overseas territory in Greenland. So we've got news that Greenland's ruling party right now, called the Siumut Party, plans to hold a vote of independence from Denmark following a general election next month. So the semi-independent country of Greenland called on a general election to be held on March the 11th on Greenland independence. So maybe on March the 11th there'll be a new independent country in the world, which will be Greenland. So Greenland is planning to host an independence vote on March the 11th, which the Kingdom of Denmark has completely agreed on. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got some news today coming from Germany that the next meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contract Group, known as the Ramstein format, will take place on February the 12th. However, instead of the US, the United Kingdom will preside over the meeting, Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty reports. We've also got some news today coming from Belgium that another shooting has happened. So back to back, there's been two shootings that have took place outside of outside of Brussels metro station, where two masked gunmen opened fire on with AK-47s yesterday. So obviously I can't show you the videos on this, and if you do want to see the videos of this, you can just check the non-scene news telegram in the link description below. So in the link in the description below, you can actually join the non-scene news telegram, which I post a lot of news and a lot of stuff that I probably can't show on YouTube. But in this incident, a man suffered a gunshot wound into his leg and was in critical condition from blood loss. So there's been a shooting again in Brussels, the capital city of Belgium, where a person was shot in the leg and he's in critical condition because, as probably most people know, the largest artery in the human body, I believe, is in the thigh. So it's in the leg. So interesting news. There's been two shootings in Brussels back to back. We've also got some news today coming from France that the French President Macron has just invited the Syrian president, or the Syrian interim president, Ahmad al-Shara, to France. So this is a very big development on Syria. So Macron is now actively inviting the former HTS rebel leader, which is now the Syrian president, to Paris. So very big news. We've also got some news today coming from the United Kingdom that polling continues to show that the Reform Party in the UK are spiking in popularity as the Labour crashes and the Conservatives fail to gain any ground. So again, another poll shows that the Reform Party is ahead by 29 points. So very big news. We've also got some news today coming from Iran. So we've got news that Iran has just joined the club of aircraft carrier countries, which, when I say aircraft carrier, it's a drone carrier. So yesterday we've got news that the Iranian Navy has just announced the commissioning of the drone carrier ship called the Bahami Badgeri, I believe that's how you pronounce the name. This is a converted container ship that was converted into an aircraft carrier. So the footage shows that the deck and the runway is about 180 meters long. It also has hangars and aircraft elevators. For the ship defense, it is equipped with anti-ship missile launchers and the Kalza 222 surface-to-air missile launchers. So when I actually look at the ship, obviously you can see it was a former container ship, but I actually do think this is a very good idea. I mean, I know it's probably a bad aircraft carrier, but I think it will do its job. It's the Iranian officials say it's only got a 1-year lifespan, so I'll keep you updated on it. But Iran has become a carrier nation, so I thought it was a pretty interesting idea. So interesting news. We've also got some statements coming from the president of Iran today. The president of Iran actually reacted to Trump's orders against the Islamic Republic of Iran. So the president of Iran stated that we are a powerful country. The reserves of the natural resources we have are exponential in the world. America says that it will impose sanctions on us, but if we manage our assets well and interact efficiently with our neighboring countries, we can solve our problems. We've got some news today coming from Syria. So we've got news that clashes are now happening on the Syrian-Lebanese border. So we can see here in your bottom left corner, we can see clashes between the Syrian government forces, which was formerly known as the HTS rebel group, but we're now with pro-Hezbollah clans like the Zerta and the Jafar families. So if we can see here, we can see huge fighting across the Lebanese and Syrian border. So if we can see in this one video, we can see the Syrian government forces firing rockets on positions inside of Lebanese territory. So there's a huge active conflict that's happening here, and we've also gotten reports that the HTS and Syrian rebels have actually crossed into Lebanese territory and actually apparently captured some villages near the border of this town here. So probably we're probably talking about this. So Syria has probably captured a couple of villages here, and apparently made some ground, but I don't think anything will come from this. So there's been a bit of a scandal on the Lebanese and Syrian border where clashes are currently going. We've also got news that the former Republic Guard unit, the commander of Bashar al-Assad's government, has just announced the creation of the anti-Ahmad al-Shara group called the Coast Shield Brigade. So if you remember Assad al-Bashar, the previous president of Syria, there is some loyalists still in his country, still in Syria, sorry, which are very loyal still to Bashar al-Assad, which are now actively turning into a rebel group and now going to be actively working against the now Syrian National Army. And we've also just got news today that Israel has just airstrike Damascus, the capital city of Syria. So if you can see here, I've just gotten this news a minute ago, where we've got news that Israeli airstrikes have just been reported in Damascus countryside. So interesting news. And furthermore, we've also got some news today coming from Israel. So we've got news that the US State Department has just approved a potential 6.75 billion foreign military sale to Israel, including thousands of precision and guided and general purpose bombs. And we've also got some news today that the United States will for the first time transfer to Israel the most powerful non-nuclear bombs in its arsenal, called the GBU-43B, a massive bomb. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, the US is now handing over the mother of all bombs, so that's called the MOAB, to Israel. So it's considered the most powerful conventional bomb ever used in combat, by an explosive weight of 11 tons of TNT blast. So some actually believe it's an indication for an Israeli strike on nuclear facilities in Iran. So that's just speculation, so take it with a grain of salt. We've also got some news today that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that the Saudi monarchy can create a Palestinian state in Saudi Arabia. They have a lot of land over there. And furthermore, we've just got news today coming from Gaza, where we've got news that Hamas and the Red Cross have officially signed the documents for a release of the hostages. So we've just got news that Hamas has handed over yet another 3 hostages to the Red Cross that will be going to its way into Israel. So Hamas has handed over 3 Israeli hostages to the IDF, well, to the Red Cross to go to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. So Hamas has handed over 3 hostages back to Israel. So very big news. And we've also got some news today coming from Africa. So we've got news that the M23 Rwandan-backed forces have just captured the city of, I believe, Katana, which is right here. So the M23 rebels have yet again made a huge breakthrough and have really started pushing to the south of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And now it seems that the M23 forces are only 28 kilometers away from the major port and the major city of Bukavu, which is a major Democratic Republic of the Congo city, and we can already see that the Congolese army are reinforcing the city. So you can see here in your bottom left corner, we can see the Congolese military reinforcements arrive in the Congolese city of Bukavu. I think that's how you pronounce its name. So it seems to be a battle that might be brewing up here. So the M23 forces have made yet again a huge breakthrough. And we've also got news today that the country of Burundi, the country just south and bordering Rwanda, have just sent the Democratic Republic of the Congo additional 2,000 soldiers to the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo to help fight the M23 Rwandan-backed forces, bringing its total army in the Democratic Republic of the Congo to 12,000. The Radio of France International stated. So Burundi has just sent an extra 2,000 troops to fight the M23 rebels, and we've also got news that the M23 rebels are reinforcing its military. So a large M23 military reinforcements continue to arrive in the city of Goma. So you can see here there is even more military reinforcements coming into the Democratic Republic of Congo and helping the M23 forces continue its rapid offensive. So, interesting news. And we've also got some very interesting news coming from India today. That's the Russian Su-57 and the American F-35 jets are set to compare for the Indian Air Force attention at the Aero India 2025 in Beluguru, which is this exact city here. So Russia is offering the Su-57, the Russia's latest fifth-generation fighter jet, to India at a reduced price as part of its strategy to strengthen ties and upgrade India's aging fleet. So the US Air Forces have cancelled demonstration flights of the F-35 and ungraded F-16s at the Aero in India. The F-35 will present for static display and flyby demonstrations. But if you can see this picture here, I'm pretty sure this might be the first time the Su-57 and the F-35 have been seen in one photo. So the two most famous fighter jets have met each other face to face, and they'll be trying to compete in one another in this air show to try and get India to buy the aircraft. So it's kind of a battle of investment against Russia and America here on what aircraft India takes interest in. So interesting news, and again, I'll keep you updated on that. We've got some news coming from Taiwan today and China. We've got news that Taiwan's Ministry of Defense has just announced that today that it has detected 6 Chinese balloons around the island of Taiwan, at the same time 9 military aircraft and 6 warships and 2 Chinese ships were detected near the island. So the Chinese People's Republic of Army is still probing Taiwan nearly daily now, and it continues to do this to try and probe its defensives. We've got some news coming from the US today that the Japanese Prime Minister has just visited Donald Trump and has just announced that he will be working to elevate Japan's investment in the US by $1 trillion. So the Japanese Prime Minister has visited Donald Trump, I believe, in Washington, where Japan's Prime Minister has announced and vowed to increase increase the investment into the US by $1 trillion. We've also got news today that Donald Trump has just said that the US intends to resume relations with the DPRK, so North Korea, and personally with Kim Jong-un. We've also got news today that Tucker Carlson has been seen meeting Donald Trump in Washington in the White House. So we can see this picture here. We can see Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump. So we can expect maybe a Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump interview that might be uploaded very soon. We've also got news. We also had news yesterday that the US President Donald Trump had signed the executive order to keep men out of women's sports and competitions. So he signed the deal in front of quite a big audience. We've also got news today that Trump has just signed the executive order in sanctioning the International Criminal Court over prosecution of the US and its allies, including Israel. So the US President Donald Trump has signed the executive order today imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court, called the ICC, for pursuing cases against the United States and its allies, such as Israel, according to the White House official as reported by the BBC. So the order will the sanction order will introduce a financial and visa sanctions on the International Criminal Court staff and their families, the official clarified. So Donald Trump is now sanctioning the International Criminal Court over its arrest warrant on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So I'll keep you updated on that. We've also gotten some news today that Donald Trump has just imposed sanctions on South Africa for, I quote, racial discrimination against Afrikaans and refused to support Israel. So Trump has sanctioned South Africa, and this just came out today. Donald Trump has just imposed sanctions on South Africa, and I'll keep you updated on that. And we've also, the last news come today is coming from the Ivory Coast. So we've got news coming from the Ivory Coast that, let me just get it up. The Ivory Coast will officially announce the transfer of the French army base in Port Bonnet to its national armed forces. So the National Army of the Ivory Coast is now transferring the French army bases to its national bases. So if you remember, the French army has left many African nations like Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and the Ivory Coast. And the Ivory Coast are now using these former French army bases as its own national army bases. So very interesting news, and that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Nancy News. I'll try and provide you news that the medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. If you want to support me personally, I have a donation link that you can click in the link of the description. It is a PayPal link to support me personally, or you could become a member of the channel. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.